Hello, hello. This is the Accelerator. I'm your host, Lera Kooper. The pun is intended. My name is just in the middle of the title. But true to the definition, this podcast is designed for entrepreneurs, for business owners that are really looking to work on their business and get the most out of their resources as a result. And today's going to be a bit of a shorter episode. It's just me, and we're talking about the value, not just the value of working on your business, but how to actually execute on that, how to go through that process. Because I think by this point, we're all bought in on the need to be proactive, if not strategic, in your business. But what does that even mean? What's the cliff notes on how to get started and how to get there? And so as I was preparing for an interview for a buddy of mine's TV show, we got Ryan Khan. Pivotal Change is his TV. It really got me thinking on, what are the key things that are necessary. So I'm going to talk through those. And one of the discussion points was, how can business owners effectively transition from working in the business to working on it? Because, like I said, by this point, we're bought in. Now we're just ready for what's next. How do I accomplish this? And really, it starts with you, the owner, the leadership, to go through this strategic shift in mindset from operations and in the weeds to strategically working on your business. It's not that complicated. It really comes down to setting aside the time away from operations. Maybe you use time blocking methods. Maybe you use time when you're out of the office so that people aren't, coming in, disturbing you and breaking your focus. But really set aside that time and dedicate it to being a visionary, a dreamer for your business, and think big. Um, Thinking big for me 4 years ago was so small in comparison now. And I think the more you reach your goals or surpass them, the more you realize you're capable of. And so part of it is setting aside the time to be a dreamer. And another part of it is having the confidence in yourself and your ability to do it. I'm a big believer in, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And that's a paraphrasing one of Henry Ford's quotes. And I've always been enthusiastic about that concept of, if you think you can do it, if you really believe it, you're going to accomplish it, or at least something very close. And even if you pivot and you change directions and you're halfway there, you've probably still accomplished or learned more about yourself than had you not believed in yourself enough to try. And I know this sounds rah, cheerleady, fluffy, believe yourself, quotes on the wall, but if you need the quotes on the wall, do it. If you need sticky notes on your computer, do that. I have a sticky note on my monitor that says Mars over Vegas, or Mars is greater than Vegas. It's been on here for about half a year. One of my business partners, I was having a down day just because I am an entrepreneur. I'm a dreamer. There's things I want to accomplish, and I have a high bar for myself. And just because I'm excited by trying new things and, of course, accomplishing those things. And if I'm not quite getting the traction that I'm expecting, you start being hard on yourself. And there's a healthy level of that, of, self-awareness and reflection of, okay, what can I do to control the situation versus not? What can I do to refine this? What focus areas are there? But he told me something that led me to writing this down on a sticky note and keeping it in front of myself every day. And he was saying, if we were just going to Vegas, this would be so stinking easy. And this is censored. But he's like, we're not trying to go to Vegas. We're trying to go to Mars. And that is a completely different level of achievement. And what we're trying to do for ourselves and our business. We're not trying to do something easy, so why are you expecting it to be easy? And that was not only a good reality check for me, but such a good reminder when I do have those challenging days or hours to remind myself it's not supposed to be easy. I didn't ask for easy. And so why am I surprised if I'm getting something that's not easy? And so just give yourself that time to be the dreamer and to really, even write down something that's going to help you when you're having challenges pursuing or reaching those dreams, those goals. And once you have that clear vision of what you want to accomplish, write it down. You have to set clear, measurable goals and then clear, measurable metrics or key results so you can easily say, yes, no, I accomplished this. Because when you have a huge goal, you're not accomplishing it in a day, you're not accomplishing it in a week. And it's very challenging to not get that positive reinforcement of, yes, this is working, yes, I'm getting traction, if it's a big goal, because there's a lot of investment, a lot of setting foundation before you start getting that hockey stick and reaping results. And so unless you're keeping track of little things along the way of, yes, okay, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and it's going to feel like you're not getting anywhere. And more than likely, you'll give up before you reach your goal. When in reality, you've been getting closer and closer to it all along without realizing. In the book Atomic Habits, which I really love, there is an anecdote or an analogy of an ice cube. If it's 25 degrees in the room and you have an ice cube, it's still an ice cube. It goes to 26 degrees, the room's heating up degree by degree. You're not seeing a difference. The ice cube isn't melting yet. We're not at 32. But it goes, 25, 26, 27, 28. You feel like you're making change. You're raising the temperature, but nothing's happening. What would happen if you stopped heating the room at 31? You're so close, but you haven't seen any change yet. And then at 32, we start to see progress. And it just made the point that it takes time for change to present its results. So I think coming to terms with that is a great place to start. And then again, having those clear, measurable goals. If you don't know what your vision is, sit down and figure that out. Because unless you have a clear vision and clear goals and clear metrics, like a scorecard for a business, how will you ever know what to work on? How will you ever know how to spend your time and resources? And it's if we don't have a clear vision, if we don't have a clear goal, it's easy to stay stuck in operations because when you're out of it, you don't have direction and you have to give yourself direction. And whether you have a team or not, vision and clear goals, I think, are necessary because you need to know how to lead yourself, direct your own time, your own resources, but especially if you have a team, you need to know how to lead them, direct them and their resources, how to prioritize what are they a part of. And so that comes down to leadership development and those things as well. Creating the efficient systems and delegating and really getting buy-in from your team, but it all starts with you and having clarity over what those things are. And then challenges. We've talked about challenges, but what are some common ones? Well, one, time management. You have to balance the operational needs with the strategic work, the time that you're a dreamer, essentially. And that can be challenging, especially if you're already over capacity. And something that peer members of mine have had to do in the past is, they sold a bunch of work, took on too many clients, and then they didn't have enough time to deliver it or to train their team to deliver the services. And so, sometimes a little failure is the best education. And they set a limit for themselves. We need this much lead time in training for this many new clients. And so they have a max. every week of here's how many, people I can train, how many new clients I can take on. And so sometimes that means aggressive growth needs to just have a small pause, or not even a pause, but just a just awareness over where the red line is, so that you can have those efficient systems, processes, and trainings in place so that you can build that team, that pyramid that exponentially will help you grow aggressively. In our own firm, we knew we needed to rebuild the infrastructure to be able to grow aggressively. That was our goal. And so for the first 3 years, we revamped the tech stack, departmentalized the teams, put training in place, because I wanted to grow aggressively, but not at the expense of the team and not at the expense of our clients. We don't want their experience being left up to chance, and I don't want our staff to be overworked and burnt out and not fulfilled by their work. I've been in that position, and that's why when I went into these ventures to own the companies ourselves, I have 3 business partners, including myself, we knew there was a certain way we wanted to go about business, what was important to us. And it was to provide value for clients without sacrificing the team, which is very typical in the tax industry. And so know where the limitations are, manage that. And then I think another big challenge that owners experience is just fear of change. It can be intimidating. It takes work, and that, just thinking about that, can be overwhelming of how many things you're going to have to learn or do differently or implement. And especially when you have a team, you can be really nimble when it's just 1 to 3 people, or even just yourself. But then when you have a team and you get into the 10, the 20, the 30 plus, now you need a process for the change management, for how you're going to get buy-in from leadership, and then how they're going to, relay that to the team. And it takes time. So you have to be realistic with the time required, but change requires change. Not changing also is a decision. Indecision is a decision. And so you have to clearly see your vision, maybe the objective that you have for the next quarter or year or 10 years, and then break it down into bite-sized chunks. Work with your team to get their buy-in. And then be okay letting go a little bit, relinquishing control. Be okay delegating to your team. Be okay saying no to work. Be okay saying no if it doesn't fit in with your goals. I think when we want to help people, no seems like a bad word. Or when you're just starting out, no seems like a bad word because you need every sale you can get. But you don't want to be throwing, good money after bad or good time after bad just to keep things the same because you don't want to change. And so if you're even asking yourself this question of how do I effectively shift from working in my business to on my business, I think be aware that it's going to require some change. And it might not always be comfortable, but ultimately it is moving you closer to your goal once you've defined it. And that's really what matters, not the how, but the what. Because if your vision is set, chances are you're going to be all over the place on your way of how you get there. We've had a very similar vision over the last 4 years for the firm of providing value for clients without the expense of the team. But how we've gotten there has gone left, right, up, down, and sideways. But we're still working towards the same vision. And so that's kind of our North Star in how we're going to achieve our, what strategies we choose to proceed with. And then we think about leadership. When we become business owners, we forget that we're influential, either to our client base or our team, from how we lead a meeting to how we walk into the office that day, or how we slam our car door. We are influential as the leader of the company. And so we need to be sure of ourselves, our vision, of course, whether we're leading a team or just our own time and resources, to make sure that the whole organization is aligned and working toward a common goal. And it's going to keep that buy-in with your team. If you live, breathe, and talk what your vision is, then not only is it very easy for them to say in your absence, yes, this is exactly what Lera would do, or you know what, Lera wouldn't do that, but also they believe in you. You have that trust equity with them if you're genuine throughout all of your interactions, from the meeting to how you walk into the office. And an example of how we've successfully navigated this ourselves, this transition from working in the business to on the business, when we started purchasing CPA firms. My background is accounting, but I'm not a CPA. I'm not an enrolled agent. I was about 3 classes away from qualifying to take the exam, and it's a lot. It's 4 years of schooling. I got a bachelor's in supply chain management and accounting. And I just realized I don't want to prepare taxes. I don't want to be heads down. The value isn't in the tax return itself. The value is in crafting the plan, which the tax return reports. The tax return is just the output of what happened that year. We want to craft what happens that year. And so, I worked for a good 6 years in tax and accounting, but didn't take the CPA exam. And then I decided, this is pretty terrible. I do not like this reactive model. I see all these opportunities for clients based on the data they're bringing in or lack of. And if I had just worked with them 9 months ago, what's reported on this tax return would have been better. Or even if it wasn't better, they wouldn't have been surprised by what was on that tax return. And so when my business partner and I started buying firms, we went into it knowing we're not going to do any billable work. We're working on the business, not in the business. We were going to redesign the firm model to work proactively with our clients, our business clients. And of course, not every client wants that approach. And so they have the option of being reactive, proactive, or strategic with us. If they want to, if they pick the reactive engagement package, then it's tax only. If they want proactive or strategic, then there's some additional planning that's involved. And I'd consider reactive looking backwards. Proactive as just knowing what's ahead, so you're avoiding surprises. And then strategic is crafting what's ahead. And so kind of keep those 3 approaches in mind, even as you work on your own business. Is this a reactive initiative? Is it proactive, or is it strategic? And so we changed a lot of things that we did. We let go a good chunk of clients. We've, started marketing towards our ideal client that would appreciate that type of relationship. Even internally, some of your team is going to be bought in and some isn't. And that's okay. There's a place for everyone. But for our firm and our vision, we needed everyone swimming in the same direction. And we had a clear picture, a clear vision of what type of team that requires. And so going into this project 4 years ago, flipping them on its head, going from reactive to strategic, we've been able to focus on our ideal clients, entrepreneurs, small businesses, and support them throughout the year strategically. So our operations, our processes, our team on staff, even our engagement letters, which have them choose what approach do you want, reactive, proactive, or strategic, workflows, it's all been designed as a roadmap for this strategic relationship with us, for us to have clarity of what the client wants, for the client to have clarity of what we're going to provide them, because that reactive approach of, oh, I forgot to tell you, XYZ happened with my business, can we have a meeting tomorrow? It's just not feasible to do that unless you have one client. And the result ultimately is that we're working with clients that want a strategic partner. They're receiving clarity and confidence in their story of the numbers and the ability to craft what's next. They don't just feel the data, they know the data, and they have an understanding of how to get through a challenge. They have a thought partner. They have an understanding of how to jump on an opportunity, and in a tax efficient way, in our case. And we have a team that loves what they do. And like, big shocker, we didn't go to school because we love data entry. We love using our knowledge to help others. And so designing a firm that pursues that rather than letting it happen by chance or at the expense of others, it's been a very fulfilling process. And so it's biased, but that's one of my favorite examples of successfully navigating this transition from in the business to on the business. And we're still working through it. I don't think we will ever be done. And that's also something to keep in mind, that until you exit your business, because everyone does exit for better or worse, your hands aren't really clean of the business. There's always going to be something to work on. And as soon as you tackle the big three initiatives, there's going to be three more, and there's going to be three more. And that's part of the fun. And so start setting aside time to just write down your vision, and then write down, what are a couple of things that I can do? What are a couple of habits that I can start implementing now to help work towards that? And two books that I would recommend, I don't get anything for it: Atomic Habits. That's where that anecdote about the ice cube came from. And then Measure What Matters by John Doerr. It's about OKRs, utilizing objectives and key results in your business. And the snippet on here, it says how, Measure What Matters, how Google, Bono, and the Gates Foundation rock the world with OKRs. This is, business owners ought to read it. Our whole team is reading it as a book club right now, because this is so critical, not only for making sure everyone's in alignment, bottom up, top down, side to side, but so that your team members are, proactively working on themselves, not only to, be more valuable to the firm, but just to get the most out of themselves as well. A lot of staff are looking for jobs where they have growth opportunity. So anyhow, that's my TED Talk. Didn't end up being that short, on, just the process of transitioning from in the business to on the business and where to begin. And we'll have plenty of episodes that really dig into different focus areas, but that's an overview. So thanks for tuning in. Again, I appreciate our listeners, because I have not been podcasting for long. I have not been interviewing for long. And I'm sure that in 50 episodes, I'm going to look back at these ones and think, oh my word, I already think these things. I don't have an intro. I don't have an outro. I say too much. And I need to be faster about getting to my questions, so then my listeners who are busy can just get to the meat of the value without me adding too much fluff in there. So thank you for tuning in, for, extending me the grace of being a beginner in this. But one of my goals with the vision of providing value to business owners is to be a resource. And that's what this podcast is designed to do. So thank you for tuning in, and until next time.